All is one reflections. If you can hear me, go ahead and put some comments in. Leave a bell if you're ready to get started. Okay, if you just coming in, coming off work, go ahead and leave a white heart. Tell me how you feeling. Yes, Egg Bay. Director Egg Bay. She has a new job, so let's give congratulations to her. Thank you for your presence, though, Egg Bay. I appreciate it. There goes my butter. So she says she here. Okay, let me go ahead and post it to Facebook. Hello, Oya baby. I'm just typing into Facebook to let them know to come on because you're getting started. Okay. And let me put into one more group and then we will go ahead and get started. Y'all tell me how you're feeling. Tell me just everything. It's Sunday. It's eclipse. We are just trying to be human beings getting our lives together, okay? Okay. So I think I posted to everywhere. Those of you who are in Discord and who are on our Facebook groups, BSN, Ohio Light, go ahead and tap in. Let your sisters, let your cousins, let your friends know we here. Give me 1 second. Right, Dr. Egbe. I just got off the phone with our godmother, Egbe, and the alignment just feel good, girl. And while I get everything ready, for those of you guys who need a spiritual community, who don't know where to start, where to align, first off, your first step is booking with me so we can get your checkbook. I'm at your check-in to see what you need. But the other is just to help you get established within community. We have that with BSN. We have that here at Ojai within our Discord communities, private communities, and in general to help you align with ancestral treasuries and just your overall greatest good. Hello, Priestess Ajay Igbe. Okay, well, I'm just gonna get started now. Okay, so I asked the ancestors what the topic was going to be about, obviously, with the ancestral treasury in mind. And with that, give me 1 second, guys. Sorry, I had to be a mother. Okay, so I asked the ancestors what we are talking about, what we are discussing, what is going on. Obviously, with the ancestral treasure in mind, we want to make sure that we are making smart withdrawals and we aren't adding debt at all. And they said you need to understand how you dress. And I was like, y'all, with the white cloth? And they're like, of course. And I was like, okay, well, you guys show me in the Bible because, we got to break it down for them. And guess what? We're in Colossians, okay? So, Colossians 3, we're going to start at verse 12. But before we start there, because the first part talks about being God's chosen people. But what does that mean? Well, Peter describes it real well, okay? You guys know I love to go book for book, cross-referencing, so we can understand the full correspondences of not only how we are supposed to adhere to as children of God, hoodoo children, but also making the most out of the spell book. Okay, so cross-referencing is one of the ways to do that. Okay, so because Peter is very clear about what it means not only to be a chosen people or person within the covering of God, but also what it means to live godly in general. We're going to talk into that later, but right now, just a blanket understanding. Chosen people, what is that? How do we qualify? I'm gonna let you know right now, child of the diaspora. Okay, so I'm starting at 1 Peter chapter 2, the end of verse 8. And a stone that causes people to stumble, and a rock that makes them fall. They stumble because they disobey the message, which is also what they were destined for. But you are a chosen people, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, God's special possession, that you may declare the praises of him who have called you out of darkness into his wonderful light. Once you were not a people, but now you are the people of God. Once you have not received mercy, but now you have received mercy. Okay, so breaking it all down. As children of diaspora, first off, yes, we read about what our ancestors go through in the books. Yes, we see the pictures. Yes, some ancestors might come forth and talk about it during prayer and meditation. But what needs to be understood regardless is understanding that we will never understand what they went through. We'll never understand how they starved. We will never understand their sacrifices. We'll really never truly understand, right? So when it says, or when we have a conversation about ancestral treasure, we have to consider what is all being invested in. What are we working for? It starts off saying you disobey the message, meaning you're not listening. I'll say we for the purposes of this being a community conversation. So we aren't listening to what is being said, not only by our ancestors, but by our elders alike. I'll get to that later, but right now we're right here. A chosen people receiving which they were destined for. In the concept of Ifa, we understand one, how universal law manifests, because law is law, whether you believe in it or not. And I'm not talking about, the governmental law. I'm talking about tried and true spiritual law that manifests and exists. Like I said, whether you believe it or not, for every action, there is a reaction. Do unto others as they have them do unto you. You understand what I'm saying? Just little things. So not adhering to things that might have been divination, things that were said during meditation, right? Are prescriptions that we take or that a priestess crafts for you, right? Or just considering how you handle yourself, right? So when you understand who you are as a child of the diaspora, just in this moment watching this video, that right there is a blessing. That right there is understanding how far your lineage and your bloodline has come, but understanding there's so much more to go. Because we as a people, we as a chosen people, a royal priesthood, right? Because that's why we're here, right? Because we're unlocking other keys to our treasury, because we are advancing our bloodline as Ifa has destined. It's here in the Bible. You hear it in our conversations that we have with alignment. So before you really understand, I don't want to say before, because understanding can occur in several aspects of spirituality. Your understanding can definitely be amplified or heightened when certain downloads or integrations hit. If everything is making sense what I'm saying so far, go ahead and put a white heart. So I know that you are with me. So I know that I'm not rambling. But if something isn't making sense, go ahead and ask that as well. Okay. I'm going to leave a little bit of time and check the comments for a second. Okay. 1 second. Okay. So I don't see any comments, so I feel like we're good. So now we're going to go back to what the initial message was, because we know what it means to be a chosen people. We know that we must honor our sacrifices that were made by our ancestors. We know we must adhere to the lessons and provisions that were brought, right? Okay. So starting back at Colossians, therefore, as God's chosen people, if you want to change it to Oli Damare for all purposes of this text, you may. Holy, dearly loved, clothe yourselves with compassion, kindness, humility, gentleness, and patience. So you remember at the beginning when I say you need to watch what you wear? This is what I mean when I say wearing the white cloth. If you are in Ojai in any of its meanings, you know what it means to be covered by the white cloth. Now, this is not that class, but this is a general understanding, right? This general understanding is provided because you are one of God's chosen people, because you are here, meaning that you need to understand what needs to be not only implemented on your end, but also, like I said, how you're supposed to carry yourself. Right now, with this conversation, what are you supposed to wear? White clothes or the white cloth. All is one, Oye Benji, all is one, yeah. So now moving on, we must bear with each other and forgive one another. If you or any one of you has a grievance against somebody, forgive as the Lord forgave you. All of these virtues put on love, which binds them all together. Hey, yo, if you were really reading this, verse 12 all the way up to verse 14, that is a working, okay? That is not only a working for divine alignment, but also, like we said, carrying yourselves isn't just what you look like. Because, you know, they said what they said. You got to be dressed in the compassion and kindness, but also carrying yourselves with it. So knowing what does it mean to get your look back, or what does that mean when you're trying to, I don't want to say forgive, but when you're trying to move on. Priestess Omawari, one of the elder priestesses at Ojai, has a shadow work mentorship, okay? It's actually a requirement in our coven several times a year. The reason that's because is we need to understand, one, how our shadow presents itself when you trying to knuck and you buck and that bitch needs to get her lick back, but understanding, damn, I'm supposed to be in the white cloth. This is not kind. I am not being gentle. I am not being patient. Now, let me be very clear. I started out this message saying what it means to be a chosen people or a chosen person, what that means to be in alignment with your agungun. Okay? I'm really going to misquote this, but Priest Omawari also said, this is why I love Ifa and the Orisha, because universal law is universal law. Meaning, especially in the aspect of forgiveness. If you got to get your lick back, if you just want to just let that bitch have it. But you know you got to fast, right? You know you got to not be doing none of that. What does that look like? One, minding your business. Because if you adhere to what is being taught to you, if you adhere to your destiny, as what described in Peter, you'll know it's already been taken care of. It's actually taboo for some, priestesses to get their lick back in that situation. Does that mean they can't, put that left hand up? No, that's not what that means at all. But it means that when it's time to put that left hand up, if they were wearing what they were supposed to wear, the compassion, the gentleness, right? All of that, then everything else will flow in alignment. If that's making sense, again, go ahead and put the white hearts, because we said we are in the flow of the white cloth today. Okay, so go ahead and put the white hearts in the comments if that's making sense. If it's not making sense, let me know and I will stop. Ever. Okay? Ever. And remember at the beginning, we talked about listening to our elders. Even if we don't want to, even if it may not make sense. And we also have to understand how that can actually cause misalignment, right? How can that actually cause you to be out of destiny, out of character? Because if you are moving in character, if you are moving how you're supposed to, you don't have to worry about this, down, the third. Yeah, you might cuss about it for a little bit, but is it really going to break your bank? Is it going to really stop your kids from getting fed? Is it going to prevent your lover from living their best life with you? No, it's not. Exactly. And I spoke on this earlier, Ia, about how some people, how they don't not only attend to the divinations and meditations that are spoken, but also understanding that the prescriptions provided by whatever priestess is part of the disobedience. Right? What's a goon to a goblin? In conclusion. Okay? So now moving on. Like I said, verses 12 through 14 was a whole working for not only self-confidence, not only general alignment, but also general elevation. If y'all want me to do a class on the working, I will. But if it makes sense to y'all, I'm not going to do it. Okay? All right. Now move on to verse 15. Let the peace of Christ rule in your hearts, since as members of one body you were called to peace. And be thankful. Last time we spoke on gratitude and how those are instant deposits into the ancestral treasury. Praying, not even asking for something. Just thank y'all for getting me where I need to go. Y'all, that bitch was trying me on my job, but y'all got it. Y'all took care of her. Just little things, right? Always be thankful. Always. Let the message of Christ dwell among you richly as you teach and admonish one another with all wisdom through psalms, hymns, songs from spirit, orikis, patakis, singing to God with gratitude in your hearts. Okay? And whatever you do, in word or deed, do it all in the name of Jesus, giving thanks to God through Father, through him. You remember last time we already spoke about giving praise to Olodumare, giving thanks to Egungun and Ori. If you missed last week, I said that it is okay to make the substitution for either God, Lord, Jesus for Ori, Egungun, because that helps you understand the messages and the provision that was provided by your ancestors, because this whole book, this spell book filled with knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. I just gave y'all a spell right here in this verse alone. I wasn't even intending to, if you want to be for real. Just sit with it, okay? Because there's so much to be revealed, but I want you guys to really understand step by step what exactly is being said. So, and whatever you do, whether in word or deed, do it all in the name of your bloodline. Okay? Doing all what you do, right? There's a book called The Four Agreements, and it talks about being impeccable with your word. Okay? Being impeccable with your word. And Ifa, the tongue, the word of the mouth, that's that afoshe, right? We know that words have power. That's why we always tell you to pray. It exacts that transformation that needs to occur in your life. Okay. Also, it helps understand what needs to be meditated on and what needs to be worked on, meaning when you need to sit your ass down and when you need not to. Because that's part of obedience and disobedience as well. Okay. I also want to go back to the point a little bit about what we're supposed to wear in relation to the compassion, kindness, humility, gentleness, and patience. Give me 1 second. Let me check the comments because I see some comments going through. This is my egg bay. Sometimes I don't even go to full care. I just stop at praise and gratitude, not looking for anything in return, just to vibrate. How do I make deposits into the ancestral treasury? Screenshot this. Ayo, egg base, screenshot this. Oshintara. Put a heart when you got it done. Okay. So, back to what I was saying. I'm surprised nobody said anything in relation to the humility aspect of it. I really thought y'all were gonna say something about, being meek, bound down people, things like that. But I really want y'all to understand when we are talking about being humble in this sense, there's so many ways to break it down, especially because these are one of the type of clothing we're supposed to be wearing anyways, right? Okay, I'm going to start off with this verse from First Peter. Listen, Peter was in his pen, okay? He really was. Let's leave some stars for Peter, okay? Because he knew what he was talking about. He says, First Peter chapter 5, verse 5. In the same way, you who are younger, submit yourselves to your elders. All of you, clothe yourselves with humility toward one another, because God opposes the proud, but shows favor to the humble. Humble yourselves, therefore, under God's mighty hand, that he may lift you up in due time. Cast all your anxiety on him, because he cares for you. Now, when we are saying be humble, right? An easy way to say is just when we're saying be humble, we're saying it in the sense of understanding how to not only receive criticism or direction from elders. And let me be clear, when we are in spiritual community, sometimes your elders are people that are younger than you, like by years, right? So understanding that it doesn't mean that we are just quiet and stuff. It means that we're able to receive what's being said. It means that we are able to create peace as being stated, right? Because if you're adhering to the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding that has been provided by your ancestors, by the people within your community, and even outside of the spiritual aspect, even just day-to-day living, if you adhere to sound counsel and sound advice, your life will slowly align to what it needs to be. Because then you're making the changes that needs to be made, okay? Those vices not vicing no more, right? In no way is God saying that you need to submit to anybody in the sense of like, y'all know what I mean with submission. Or just so lowly that you're not able to really pop your shit. That's what I'm talking about. Because right here, I told y'all we going book for book. It's a spell book. Right here in Galatians, he says in verse 1, Paul was good too. Paul and Peter, they knew what they was doing. Okay, he says, am I now trying to win the approval of human beings or God? Am I trying to please people? If I were still trying to please people, I would not be a servant of Christ. Let me break that down in Orisha Hoodoo way. I'm going to tell you what it say. It say, am I trying to win the approval of man or of God, of myself, of Ori? Am I trying to please people? If I were still trying to please people, I would not be a servant of Ifa. Now, or you could say Ori as well, because what I really want you guys to understand, the 16 truths of Ifa, whether you are in mentorship, whether you don't even know what Ifa is from a can of paint, you need to understand that Ifa promises a life without suffering, a life of where you just get to live your best life. You don't need to suffer. You don't need to depend on anybody. You don't need to really struggle, right? Because we know that when we're alignment, we know that when we're adhering to what divination and what we're being told by our ancestors, by our elders, that everything else will fall into place. That doesn't mean, you won't cry sometimes. That won't mean you won't be upset, because you're still human. But guess what? You're a chosen human, baby. A chosen people. Okay? So obviously the anointing over your life is going to look different from somebody who's not dressed in the things that we said already. The humility, the compassion, the patience, the gentleness. The way you would want somebody to be acting to you anyways. Okay? And if you want to be for real, the same people that you really want to be shysty to is the same people that you actually need to be giving grace to, if you want to be for real. Because who gave you the grace when you should have been cut off? Okay? When you was tripping. Okay? So, when we are dressed in the whites, when we are patient, when we are humble, meaning we're not low, we just able to receive, right? Able to adhere. Then we can move accordingly. Then the peace will come. Then the unity will be restored. Now, why is that important for the ancestral treasury? Because if you ain't got peace in your mind, in your soul, what are you doing? Why are you asking for this, that, and the third when you need to be asking just for peace? Not even just asking for it, moving in alignment to where you can get that. Like I said, that can look like not adhering to the vices. Some people, we need to fast. No, we do need to fast, baby. As a community, as a collective, there needs to be some fasting going on. Because we got too comfortable as a collective with either being stagnant. Some of us is just stagnant. Some of us aren't able to move either because we're stuck and don't know how to get out. Links in the bio if you need help with that, baby. But other of us just aren't adhering to the things we know we should be doing. So some of the best ways to start making that change today, obviously, start with gratitude and be grateful. Some of us pray before our feet touch the ground. Some of us pray right before we go to sleep. Some of us pray before we eat. Some of us need to be doing all the above. Some of us need to be praying more. Some of us need to be praying more effectively and efficiently. Some of us need to really understand that we really are okay and that we're letting outside shit bother what's in the way of that. When they already told you, don't worry about nothing. When they already told you, just mind your business because we got you. We got this. When they already told you, baby, just say thank you. Little things like that start the lifestyle change, because that's what we want. We want the lifestyle change. We want to be able to create something that our children would be so proud to experience. Something that our loved ones would just happy to be a part of. But that starts with doing the work. Okay. Does anybody have any questions about that? Any portions of the passage that was read? If not, go ahead and leave a honey pot so I know that it's time to move on to the divinations. As you know, I conduct a divination in relation to our ancestral treasury so we can maintain alignment. I will be taking questions from the audience at the end of this session, but we got to make sure we moving as a community, right? Okay? And some of your questions might be answered within the divination. If it's not, that's cool too. You can still ask. But... Okay. I see honey pots. That means we're ready. She ready. All right. Just give me 1 second. I'm going to switch cameras. Okay, y'all? Okay. Also, those of you guys who are new to Ojai, new to Soulful Healing Garden, first, welcome. There's so much my sisters, my godmother, and I have to share with you in relation to alignment, prestige, protection, and power. Why? Because that's our Ifa, truth, and birthright. We have some retreats coming up later in the year, but before that, we have our public ceremonies. Our first one will be plant ceremony. For those of you guys who do know, plant medicine is a way that we align with our ancestors. If you were in my class about 2 weeks ago, understanding herbs, roots, and tools with technology, you understood how not only community ancestors play in herbalism and root work as us now present, but also how ancestral and ancient practices have affected us long before we even got here. Okay, so if you want to experience that here firsthand with my godmother, with my sisters, some of my elders, go ahead, let me know in the comments, and I'll obviously post links to everything soon, or one of my elders can do that. Okay, y'all, we can already start the divination. Okay. If you can still hear me, go ahead and put a white heart. I don't know if y'all can hear me, y'all. I got a new setup with the camera. Okay, perfect. All right, I'm getting ready to start the divination. Give me 1 second. Let me make sure my bones are well. For those of you guys who don't know, I am a cartomancer and a bone reader, meaning I divine with bones as well as playing cards. This is technology that I learned under training and mentorship of Reverend Priestess Oshun from Yanifa, my godmother. One of my Egbe's or one of my sisters will put the link to our Discord and our Facebook group so you can get aligned with them. Okay. If you guys have questions in relation to the Bible study, y'all may go ahead and ask them. The first question I'm going to ask is, what is the best way to establish peace within our hearts as a community? The reason why I'm asking this is because all of us are in different spots in our life right now. All of us are experiencing integrations in whatever they look like, whether they be spiritual intentionally through ceremony and ritual, or whether just be personal downloads from daily practice. Some of us are just trying to get our shit together, if you want to be for real. So that's why we're going to ask, what is the best way to establish peace, okay, within our hearts as a community? Okay. Okay, the first thing that we... Okay. The first thing that we need to do is understand where we are within this time, within this period. As we know, we are in season of eclipse. As we know, we literally just got a winter, about to be about 2.5 weeks into spring. So the aspect of rejuvenation, we need to understand that this is our time. Don't bullshit around on it, because it's actually messing with the root of the problem, because we're spending so much time chasing our tail on bullshit that doesn't matter. It's being hard for us to really align properly. One of the reasons is because we aren't praying as effectively and efficiently as stated. I told y'all that during Bible study. I felt that. That's why I said it. So it's being confirmed with divination right here, as you see that. Okay. We also need to understand, my bad, that in order, we also need to understand that we don't have much room to keep, we don't have much room for them to keep putting out fires in our life unnecessarily. Being a chosen people talks about protection. It talks about understanding your covering and anointing, but we don't want that to go to waste. We have to ask for protection. We have to ask for not only for us to be covered in all sense of the words, we have to act like it too. How do we do that? Just told y'all. How are we supposed to be dressed? Humility, compassion, forgiveness, kindness, gentleness. We have to understand that this is actually a big deposit that will be invested into the ancestral treasury. This is the pyrite right here. It's next to the chicken bone. Let me move the camera. It's actually next to the chicken bone. So that shows that not only doing this will provide a great investment into the ancestral treasury, but it'll also help with realigning us with our goals. Our ancestors really want us to understand. It's a little bit wonky. That's why I'm moving the dice right here. 1 second. Okay. We have to understand where we are in the terms of partnership with our ancestors. Are we really invoking this relationship as we would a potential partner or a wife, spouse, little boo thing, right? Our ancestors are our most important relationship. So if we don't cultivate that relationship with them, especially when we ask them for things, especially when they're the ones that made sacrifices on our behalf so we can advance the bloodline, what are we doing? Bullshitting around, like they said, right? But they already said we need to stop that. Okay. Does anybody have any questions about that throw? Is there anything that I need to clarify? If not, I will move on to my next question. And remember, you guys are more than welcome to ask questions within this as well. Okay, so if you have questions, go ahead and ask. No, I'll keep going. Okay. The next question I'm going to ask is, how can I embody the qualities of compassion, kindness, humility, gentleness, and patience in my interactions with others? So, we know you're supposed to wear white, right? But like I said, sometimes it can look a little bit funky when life try to test you. But we got to keep that white stainless. So we're going to ask how we can do that. All right, so the question was, how can I embody the qualities of compassion, kindness, humility, gentleness, and patience in my interactions with others? As we know, the way that not only we carry ourselves, but the way that we are perceived affects the ancestral treasury, mainly because we are one, a reflection of each other, all is one, reflections. And because of that connection to the divine source, we need to make sure that we are not only advancing as a community, but just as a people. We are a chosen people. That's said so many times. Okay. But understanding what it means to live it is obviously different. We spoke on that. Okay. First thing they said. Okay. Again, the two die came out. So we really need to understand our relationship, not only with our ancestors, but how we receiving how are we perceiving our relationships with others. So, good thing to keep in mind, if you remember that the person that you were talking to is your reflection, it's easier to be a little bit more kinder to them. It's easier to be gentle with your tones. It's easier for a graceful correction if it needs to be had. Okay? And understanding that building this foundation is actually the key to, y'all can't see it, but the tigers I have fell off a little bit. So, but where it fell is in direction to the board. It was right there. So it is still being able to be read is what I'm trying to say. So understanding that having a strong connection to our ancestors and understanding our perception of others as they are our reflections, we're able to unlock hidden aspects of not only toxic behaviors within ourselves, but also toxic behaviors within our communities that might need to be addressed. As you know, this is the season of get right, get tight, act up. You can get snatched up. We see that on social media. Every which way, everybody going to jail, everybody getting called out. Don't be one of those people. Because karma will collect. We already talked about universal law being universal regardless. Make sure that you stand on the right side of it. You do that by being dressed in what you said. And understanding, again, this is a very valuable asset to understand. But don't be foolish with it. The pyrite, fool's gold, talks about don't being foolish with things that might present nice. So still, like we said, you're not letting nobody, discount you in any way, because who are you here for? Right? Yourself. The end of the day, your elevation. But understanding also your word matters, how you carry yourself matters, because it has value that a price tag can't be put on. Okay? Also, understanding that, again, the opportunity to, like we said, bullshit around isn't the opportunity to bullshit around is passing by slimly, and understanding that you can't really have a crabs in a barrel mentality. This is a crab leg, but this crab leg is broken, and it's right next to the bottle cap. So that's how we know that in relation to community, as we are moving one, as we have our reflections and talking to people like they actually matter, like they actually mean something, we can disable not only the crab in the barrel mentality, but again, unlocking toxic behaviors and shit that doesn't promote us as a community. At this time, I will go ahead and take questions for the audience. If you have any, go ahead and write them down. If this message blessed you in any way, shape, or form, you are more than welcome to send a Cash App at the cash tag below. I also accept Zelle at the gmail.com version of that. So just the OG Flower Child at Gmail. Go ahead and ask any other questions as well. This doesn't have to be the only question that I ask, because we got like 12 minutes, y'all. Okay, so while I am answering this question from my priestess Egbe, you guys can ask any other questions that y'all may have. So, what workings are good for eclipse energy, including ones that can help generational healing? For those who don't know, Priestess Oya Petsu is our family systems priestess here at Ojai. She, as I help y'all align to your greatest good, she helps you generationally. Okay, so it makes sense for her to ask us, especially with this time. So I'm gonna go ahead and ask her now, priestess. They had a lot to say about this one. The first thing that we need to know is that change is here, obviously, right? But how we move on it will define that. So, in relation to your question, what are good workings for eclipse energy is understanding the change that is current within your bloodline. So, what is it? As a community, we need to understand that. I'm sorry, I'm trying to get it out. Okay. As a community, we need to understand that obviously we need to cleanse our hearts. Okay. Our prayers will not be hidden the way they need to hit if you do not have it clear in your heart. Okay. Your heart literally has so much energy because it literally is the battery of your entire body in the relation to manifestation, in relation to your health, in relation to your general understanding. So if your heart isn't in it, your alignment won't be either. So the first thing that we need to consider is making sure that our prayers match our heart. In Bible study, I said that we need to understand how we pray. Now this divination is following up with saying, making sure that your prayers match your heart. And also divine after you pray. Is this prayer in alignment with what my gungun's concerns are? Is this prayer really what's needed for my family right now? We need to create a solid foundation in the way that we create opportunities and the way that we align ourselves accordingly. That is done by understanding and being clear about our target and being clear with what may be hidden. Okay, so this is a crab leg. Okay, well, the actual like claw on it. You see how with crabs, they're literally always going like this way, right? But they're always moving. When they need to hide, they literally go underneath the sand, right? And still do what they need to do. So we need to dig deeper to make sure that the way that we are moving is actually in alignment with what our destiny is. Because having the clear understanding about hidden triggers, about hidden emotions, about hidden aspects of life is actually the key to help us with creating this open opportunity, which is now. And this is actually the perfect opportunity to do so with the astrological correspondences that are hitting, especially the astrological, okay, and the astronomy aspects that follow, okay? Astronomy and astrology are two different things, but the ancestors are saying that the roads are open for the working to be done because of this. The working specifically in relation to heart healing and revelation of hidden matters. For some of us, this might be protection work. For some of us, this might be protection work. For some of us, this might be shadow work. For all of us, it's taking a bath. Okay, get in that tub and take a bath. If you had your ancestor life path reading, take that bath. Especially with the sun and mooning. Based off of the workings that are best for the eclipse energy, the ones that can help generational healing would be crafting prayers to align with our heart and the passion of our home and family. Journaling and finding new ways or revealing the hidden aspects that we've put away so deeply that are causing the misalignment. Shadow work, protection, and taking a fucking bath. If anybody has any questions about that, you can go ahead and ask. We have about like 5 minutes left. If you have questions about this Bible study, you can ask. If you just have questions about your personal life, you can ask. This is your time to do so. If not, I will conclude with one final question so we can make sure that we are adhering with alignment for our best practices, okay? I'm going to check in a moment. Again, if you were blessed by this reading or by this Bible study in any way, feel free to leave a love donation, or you can go ahead and shout me out in our Discord, as well as our Facebook group. Okay, y'all. I was trying to get my camera together. It had failed. The webcam had failed. But I was just asking if anybody had any other questions. If not, I can go ahead and do the final throw to make sure that we are maintaining alignment. like I said, if I bless you anyway, feel free to shout me out on the socials or leave a love donation. I'm going to check the comments one more time. If I don't see them, I'm just go ahead and throw them, okay? Because it's Sunday. We have things to do. Okay, so I don't see anybody asking any questions. So we are going to ask, what else needs to be what message needs to be what else needs to be revealed about the way we carry ourselves as chosen people? I've spoken earlier, as chosen people, we are a royal priesthood with the anointing of our ancestors. That's why we're able to access aspects of our ancestral treasury. That's why we're able to really pop our shit wholeheartedly. So we need to know what needs to be known in this moment, okay? Okay, y'all didn't see that, but the thimble fell out. So obviously we need to step our protection game up. Okay, as a chosen people, we need to make sure, again, we take advantage of the opportunities that are presented to us. We need to make sure that we understand what our values are and what are we committed to. If we are giving too much energy, if we're giving too little energy, remember, being covered in the white cloth means you know how to move. So you don't have no stains on it, baby. Okay? And a lot of misalignments could be because you're either doing too much or because you're somewhere you're not supposed to be. Okay? And understanding that this is actually a root of a majority of our problems, and it's actually manifested in other ways that will be revealed in shadow work. But above all else, the protection has got to be present and it's got to be done. The protection not only over our of ourselves, like how we carry ourselves, but over our home, okay, over our children, over them babies. When y'all are crafting your prayers, you need to make sure that you're crafting them in a way, like I said, makes sense and in a way that's in relation and alignment to your bloodline. Okay. I already spoke about the thimble falling out. Okay. And I already spoke about the protection aspects. Make sure that you're praying for protection. Make sure that you are including protection in everything that you say or do. In the Bible study aspect, we talked about what's the goon to a goblin. I'm pretty sure people not praying for protection the way that they need to be, because that's actually part of it. What's setting your prayers different from the people who aren't even praying at all, right? What sets your lifestyle different from the people who aren't even working at all? Okay? Okay. So this concludes this aspect of Riverbank Revelations. I want to thank you for joining with me, sitting with me, conversing with me, and having these necessary discussions, because as children of the diaspora, as chosen people, as priestesses, as just Black people in general, we need to know how to pop our shit and how to pop it accordingly. And we do that by tapping into the guidance of our ancestral treasury. Like I said, you can connect with me, Oshun Kamibi. I put my link in the comments. But I'm here whenever you need me. Until next time, peace. Like the river.